While we learn about the opposition on the pitch, Wiser learns how to heat my home.
Worcester this weekend on the back of another really good win against Sale. What do you take from last weekend in particular?
Just massive credit to the players. They are really, as I said earlier on, I think after the game, a lot of people say, we're looking like our old selves. We're not looking like our old selves. We're starting to feel like a new Exeter. And that's how I want to talk about it. I'm actually going to talk to players about that now. Today's kind of our last meeting before our last real big session of the week, and be team run on Friday, and I'll probably repeat the same message then. Let's not think about being the old Exeter or the Exeter of the past, whatever it is. Let's really forge the new Exeter, where we want to go together, what we want to achieve, what our next dream is, what our next ambitions are individually and collectively. And it just feels like this group of players have really grabbed that, and I think that for me feels like a huge strength, and I think we saw that in the performance. There was a new vibrancy and an energy about our performances in the last 3 or 4 or 5 weeks, and these guys are really enjoying it. They're really enjoying training together, playing together, achieving things together. This group are actually hitting some physical stats that we haven't seen from our full group for quite some time. And that in itself shows a real enthusiasm to get out there and work hard and throw everything you can into it. And for me, that's probably the most enjoyable thing. More even enjoyable than the results has been how hard we've been prepared to work. Because when you see stats that say guys are working at their absolute peak, you know it means something. And when it means something, you're successful.
Ali said after the game, the first half in particular was probably some of the best, if not the best, stuff you've seen this season. That's got to be the foundation for what you kick on for what will be a huge game at Worcester.
Yeah, well, we've got to be really careful now. We've actually got to be prepared to really empty the tank this weekend, because it's kind of a stop point in quite a big block of games that have happened kind of just before the Christmas period and since Christmas, where there's been games week in, week out, and they've been very important. We've had to collect points, and there's been an element of pressure there where we're in the league, and we have to be careful. We don't look and go, we're kind of back towards the top 4 now, things are okay, because that's the one that comes and slaps you in the face. A lot of the senior players can have a bit of a break next week when we move into a Premiership Cup week. We will probably completely rotate the side, so I'm really expecting them to throw everything into this game, almost start talking about how we're going to play, what we're going to throw into the game, what we're going to sacrifice to try and get the win, and really make things happen. And if we do that, that'll give us a great opportunity. If we can round off this block with a win, that would be fantastic, and it would keep us where we want to be.
It's almost like the proverbial banana skin, because they have moved to the bottom of the table, but under Steve Diamond you can see differences already. They're a lot stronger, aren't they? I
think what's obvious, I think Steve is challenging them. I think he's challenging them in different ways, in selection, what he wants to see, and who wants to stand and fight for things, who wants to prove their point, who deserves to be selected. And I think that's a process that can make them very difficult. I think people probably underestimate how much the red card hurt them last week, because it genuinely did. It was a pretty competitive game, and then the red card, to be fair, London Ice, they exploited it pretty well. They made the break down the exposed side of the pitch, and that really wraps the game up for them, and then it became very tough for Worcester. So we've played a lot of games against Worcester. They've been real battles, and actually our biggest danger is that they stand there and they frustrate us, and we get frustrated with ourselves as well. So we've got to make sure we fight against that, and we've got to stick at it, and very much like we did at times in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Probably very similar, probably like had to happen at Newcastle for an extended period. We've got to stick at it and stay in the fight, not get frustrated, and make sure that we come through.
One man who was leading your fight last week was Jacques van Wielen, but him coming back, Harry Williams, Marcus Street, it's a huge boost to you to get at the right time of the season.
Well, I think the thing is, it becomes a huge boost having someone like Harry back and Streety coming out of injury when you look at how well Pat's been playing, because all of a sudden you go from a period where people are looking around and going, well, where's our tight head? And we found one, and he's gone really, really well. And I think that's the key. The key is that some of those guys have come in, and like I say, I count Daffyd Jenkins in there as well. Daffyd Jenkins has been incredible. And interestingly, talking to him, he said because Daff's had a bit of a knock and he's got a sore shoulder, so we've looked after him these last couple of weeks, and he's a little bit, maybe there's not much rugby left for me this season. You've got international locks coming back, and I said straight away to him, don't write yourself off. I said, the level you've been playing at, and if you perform like that, it'll be you we'll be picking. So that's what we've got now. We've got guys like that who are in and about the squad. If Pat Schicklin is our best tight head, he will play regardless of the fact he's our most inexperienced. It'll be the same with Daffyd. It'll be the same with any other player. Same with Sam Warner. But all these guys, I don't care if they're inexperienced or not. I care how well they're playing, and we're going to have some real genuine competition when the Six Nations finishes, because we're going to have a group there, and it's going to be some really tough selections, particularly, interestingly enough, around the back five of the scrum, which has been the one area where we've had no selection issues because we've just picked who's been fit, and that to me will be fantastic. And that I'm hoping that that kind of competition will really drive us to new levels.
You take it back to what you said earlier, the new Exeter, but I know how much you and the team and coaches get excited about when you see new players emerging. That we saw it with Capstick a few years ago. Marcus Street's got 50 games to his name now, but he's still relatively new in
Yes.
what we think. You must get a huge buzz from seeing that progression you're seeing, and what is potentially the future of this club.
Oh, definitely, and especially when you see them kind of aligning as they did to win important games. You can get excited about guys just getting on the field and looking okay, but if it just means it's a loss and then another loss, you at some stage you've got to come through. There's only so much pain you can take, and the reality is we've started to come through. And as you see a little bit more experience drip back into the side, we're still moving forward. And actually, I think there's quite a big challenge for our international players returning. I mean, to be fair, the Scottish lads have come back in between. They've been great. They've come straight into training. They've got on with things, and they've added an energy and a vibrancy. They've been really good. They've added an important layer to us. Particularly when Sam Skinner's been able to come back and drop into the back five and run our line outs and work really hard. I mean, he's done an exceptional job for us when he's dropped back in. Obviously, Hoggy, we gave him one of the break weeks off, but he came in and did exactly what we needed him to do this weekend. Added that kind of composure and control at the back in difficult circumstances. So those guys have been great, and it's going to be an interesting challenge for the England boys when they come back, because I'm going to be looking at them from day one going, right, well, let's roll your sleeves up, let's add some energy and some vibrancy, and let's drive this group forward. Let's add to everything, because if we keep adding and adding and adding, we're going to go a long way.